Good evening, everybody. We welcome all of you to yet another podcast segment of the Rainmakers podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. As you all know, the second season is all about harnessing the potential of people. We have been speaking to leaders from various industries to get to know, to learn from their experiences and knowledge, how to harness the potential of people at a time when we all learn the importance of harnessing the potential of people. There is one more element that has come to light also. We all are working from home, and our wellness, our attitudes, how we think has become to the forefront of how we should take care of our wellness also. Today, we have somebody who has seen the highs of highs of the consulting industry, of the high flying industry, where stress is an absolute norm, and now has gone on to help leaders harness the power of their whole mind and body. Welcome, Stephane. Thank you very much for being here.
Yes. Good evening, everybody, and thanks, Yoga and Donna, for inviting me. It's a pleasure for me to be here this evening, and I will do my best to give you some value during this hour podcast.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And all of us always know now Donna is no more stranger to the podcast. She's the co-host. She's a success trainer, a lawyer, a lecturer, and an entrepreneur. Thank you very much, Donna, as always, for joining us and enriching the experience. Donna, I think that is...
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Shall we now dig deep and learn more about what is a holistic state of mind and how we can take care of our wellness? Donna?
Of course. Thank you very much, Yoga, for the beautiful introduction that you gave to Stephane. And well, as Yoga said, Stephane, I'm quite interested to know that you have left a high-flying career in consulting to become a transformational lifestyle coach. So can you take us through your journey of transformation for everyone to know how it works, and maybe you could inspire so many viewers?
Okay. Yeah, I will try to cut a really long story short, or at least not too long. But I understand that where you come from, being in the consulting business and becoming a holistic health coach. To introduce my story, I like taking the analogy of a talk in Stanford University from Steve Jobs, who said that sometime in life, you don't know how to connect the dots forward, you can only connect them backwards. And I remember he said that he has done calligraphy, that he was fired from Apple at one point, and then he came back having his story with Pixar. He meditated, and I would like to say, if you had told me 10 years ago, Stephane, you will be a holistic transformation coach, I would tell you, oh, I don't think you are talking about the same person. And it's really different things that I have done in my life that started connecting in the last 10 years. And I will start with one of the turning points. That I'm basically an engineer with a business post degree, industrial engineer. So really the rational side of the brain, mathematics, science, and all of that was kind of my area of expertise for many years. And when I moved, the first turning point of my life that I think is important to mention, I moved to Malaysia in 2004. So I'm Belgian. I was 29 years old at that point. And when my wife and I decided to move to Malaysia, I will not enter too much in the detail of the reason there, but and this started kind of opening me to a new cultures, new way of living. And for example, I started to be exposed to philosophies of Asia, like Buddhism, Taoism. I started practicing yoga. I would never have done that in Belgium because now I think it's coming. Most of the Western world is doing yoga now in the last 10, 15 years. But like at that point, it was not really something that, with the stereotypes that it's not for men and all of that. And I started being curious about it, and it kind of started opening my mind on there is a connection between the body and mind. Like I was fit because I was running for many years and playing football and all of that, but I was also rigid in my mind. And starting doing yoga, I was noticing that when I was moving my body in the different posture movements, it was helping my mind to be more relaxed. So that's one element that already started kind of deconstructing my mindset and my view of life. Then I did Neuro Linguistic Programming. I don't know if you know what it is. So I did a certification of that. And that also kind of opened my mind on some of the limiting beliefs that were guiding my action and my behavior, and deconstructing them, some of the fear that I had. That's another element. Another one is I was ashing. I don't know if you know what it is in your countries. It's running in the jungle, and it's like you have what we call an air. It's a person with paper moving in the front, and then you need to find back your way. And for me, running was always something competitive when I was young. And starting running in the jungle behind the papers, and being more running for the sake of enjoying the movement and being in nature, started also helping me seeing running not only for something to compete for or to be the fastest, but to also seeing it as a way to connect with yourself and nature. Another element that I think is important, and I will tell you more after that, maybe on explaining the transformation from what I was in terms of my business life and my life today. It's my specialty of expertise in the business world is Lean and Six Sigma, Lean manufacturing, Lean management. I don't know if some of you have heard what it is, but what I was doing is studying the business in a holistic point of view, to understand the silo between departments, to improve the communication, to improve the flow and value inside the business. And I was spending my day of kind of removing that silos and questioning the root cause of things. And I started also having the same kind of mindset for my body. Spending, for example, I take a business example. You might have the best machines and high productivity in your shop floor, but if you produce bad quality products, if you produce products that after that are not needed by the customer, if you don't think properly the flow of value of this product, you create, you push on the brake and the accelerator in the same time, and you destroy value, so you increase the cost of what you produce because you don't have a good overview of how everything linked together. And I started noticing that, I was running, I was practicing yoga, started meditating, and I will tell you the second turning point soon as well. And all of that started maybe making me seeing all my different activities and behavior as also something that is interconnected. And the way you move your body will impact how you breathe, the nutrition, the sleep, and everything is in the same time an input and an output of a big system that you can see at a human level the same way that you can see in a business level. So if you help yourself improving some of the elements, you will create positive connection if you do right behavior, and negative one if you don't. Okay, I don't want to enter more on the details now here. I think I will go later for your question. But at least you understand already the link between my business Lean Six Sigma elements and what I do now. So I mentioned already a few things that I done, and then one of the other elements that for me was a key turning point. It's in 2013. My wife is also in the consulting work. She works for McKinsey and Company. I was working for Accenture at that point. And one of the partners of McKinsey and Company had done a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat and written a book about it, The Equanimous Mind. And by reading this book, it's like an explanation day by day of the 10-day journey of going through this Vipassana. I noticed that there was something that was attracting for me, and a lot of the element that he was mentioning, he was trying to improve or get outside of this Vipassana retreat. I had similar thoughts that I wanted to take as well, and I decided to take 10 days off and go for a Vipassana retreat, and I did two. The first one was in 2013, and there I really, because the only thing you can do during these 10 days is meditating. You cannot have any phone. You cannot talk. You cannot read. It's like you have to be with yourself. And
can't even think about it, Stephane. It's even difficult to think about living a lifestyle even for 10 days like that. Please continue.
I can say it's challenging. It was less than I was thinking, but it was challenging. And if you have questions later, I might enter more in details for that. But there, I started noticing that a lot of the things that I'd somatized inside my body started to go out during that retreat. Like I felt during a few days that I had deep pain in my back, and I was practicing what we call equanimity. So it's observing that without reacting to it. And after a few days of feeling it and doing my best to stay present and avoid ruminating about it, I felt like a deep inner heat inside, and then all of this evaporated, and I felt when it happened like my mind was clear, and I felt good, and I felt like rejuvenated, I would say, from this experience. And so I came back from it. And when I came back, I also noticed that some of the things I was doing in my business life was not really aligned with my deep inner values. And I questioned it, but then I went back to my job. And 1 year later, I decided to start a new retreat, but taking 3 months off from my consulting career, also to write down my experience on how I started incorporating running, mindfulness, some nutrition elements, some yoga elements, some lean way of holistically analyzing and dealing my life in terms of my body experience. And yeah, so I wrote down that I wanted to do a book, but 3 months was not enough. So I did a big deck like consultant can do. And some of my friends at that point told me, yeah, it's really interesting, your slide there and the different pillar that you have described and how you live, but does it work with others? And some of them told me you should test with some of us. And I said, yeah, that's a fair point. And in January, it was in September, October 2014, I started that was a 15-week program, my first draft of it. And some people were never, that was called the Tao Running. And the first one was the Tao Running 15 weeks transformation program. And these people had never run in their life and never meditated, or maybe some of them had touched a bit, and they told me that they felt so good during that program. Some of them started running even marathons, and starting implementing the different techniques that we discussed. And it gave me the inner feelings that, a drive that was growing inside me, that I wanted to do something with it. And I tested it with another group of lady, and same kind of feedback. And I was 40 years old at that point, so now I'm 46. And
you don't look
the midlife
you don't
crisis,
look anything more than 26.
My wife is telling me, Stephane, I think you are just in the midlife crisis. But that's okay. I think if you don't, she encouraged me to test it, because she was feeling that if I was not doing it, I would have regret maybe one day. So I decided to quit my job with Accenture and to launch with a leap of faith what was the Tao of Running program and becoming my main business. So I'm lucky. That's also something that my wife gave me the opportunity of taking care of the financial element at the beginning. So that's also something that's important to mention. It's I'm not sure if I would have done it if I was on my own. I don't know. That's something maybe not so early, but I would definitely have continued doing something like this. Yeah. And that's where I am now. I started with the Tao of Running, and then for many years, the first 2-3 years, it was purely on combining running with mindfulness and nutrition. And then also I started noticing that I had a lot of CXO joining my program in terms of the running, and I'm noticing the benefit that they got in their business life in terms of the stress management, in terms of brain performance, creativity, intuition. And that's where it gave me the idea of launching the Tao of Peak Performance, which is another program. And the focus is not so much on health well-being through running and mindfulness, but more on how you can use similar pillar. I can talk later maybe about it. Sure. But on the focus on how they can improve their fitness, their health, and brain performance to perform at their best and feel happier in their job and all of that. So I know I talk a lot. So maybe the last point I want to mention in terms of this story,
No, please do.
it's that there is a common point, I would say, even if it seems to be kind of opposite career, but there is a common passion, which is transformation. If I take a step back, I was passionate, and I'm still passionate about the lean philosophy. That for me is a strong philosophy of management that is not always well applied, but a strong principle, and is really deep in terms of people development and business practices. And I kind of move my focus in personal development, in personal well-being, but using a similar view of the lean principle applied to improve the life of people in place of profit and loss of businesses. And I can say that's my continuity. It's I keep being passionate about transformation, and of course the sense of purpose you have on seeing the benefits you make in life of people is kind of making you waking up in the morning full of energy and motivation as well.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Beautiful. I think there are so many things I personally took from you. Like, you've done a lot in order to come into that transformation of yourself. Like from practicing yoga to meditating for like having noble silence for about 10 days, and there's so much to learn from you. And also I'm sure like we can discuss about it a little bit more in detail, and I think you already inspired me and I got many tips as to what I should be doing while I'm also in my process of transformation. So Yoga, up to you to take the next question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful story. It gives, I think, you focused on what you wanted and what you're aligned to at an age that you could help others also, which was fantastic. And you have now transformed so many people, which is amazing. Wish you more power and more luck. My question comes from a place of your organization. Your program is called Tao Running or Tao Lifestyle. You touched upon saying how Tao was um, uh, the reason behind the name. So how would you explain it, Stefan?
That's a really good question. I would say there are two or three main reasons. The first one, my branding is Tao Lifestyle. Now it started with the Tao Running, but now it's Tao Lifestyle. And my main program are Tao Running and Tao Peak Performance. So that's just to clarify that. But the common point is I wanted to name it the Tao. There is nothing religious and in it, but I liked some of the principles that are part of the Tao philosophy that I find are really relevant in our modern world and are relevant to to focus on, I would say. And the first one, it's the yin and the yang. It's that aspect that in my program I teach people to move their body in a healthy way. So it's an action. It's like the yang element. But in the same time, training the mind to be more still, more present. So it's putting the mind in the being mode while having the body moving, and the action is co-rising, the action of the body co-rising with the stillness of the mind. So that's one of the first elements, like the yin and the yang. In our modern world, we kind of the view of the world is often black or white. But in the end, nothing is either black or white. And I think we make a lot of issue in our modern world because we are trying to put things in the cell of the black side or the white side in place of seeing that in the end, they coexist. Like you don't have day without night, you don't have woman without man. And if you cannot separate them. So that's the first one. The second one, it's one of the Tao principles, it's about balance. Everything is about balancing, and you can balance the energy in your body. You can balance your mind, you can balance your nutrition, and all the pillars of my program have this component of balance. Like I give you an example of the body. If you want the body to move in a healthy way, you need to stay relaxed, but focused and present. So if you are too relaxed, you lose the presence, you lose the strength, you lose the performance element. If you are too tensed, you generate stress and you create potential issue in the long term, at least if you do it for too long periods and injuries and all that. So you see, having this balance in the body, I will not enter more in the details for the others, but each of the pillar of my program comprehend that element of balance. So that's the second element. And the third one is linked to my lean element that I was mentioning earlier, that everything is interconnected. You can see that at the universe level, you can see that at the planet Earth level, and at the human level is the same. I take an example now with the planet level. If we do pollution, maybe in factories in Asia, it might create some problem in the North Pole with the foundation, the ice melting issues. So I just give a high level example, but that's
Very
kind
true.
of representing this interconnection between things. And that's why I wanted to call this program and this approach the Tao of running, Tao lifestyle, Tao of peak performance.
Fabulous. Very, very, very good answer, Stephane. Very good reasoning behind naming the company and the program like that, which is beautiful. One thing I really liked is you talk a lot about running, and for a person when we somebody who has not run for a long time or overweight comes and joins your program, I'm happy to know that you will not be pushing them too hard to run a marathon, because you will say, no, let's focus on balance. I was very happy to hear that. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think I have a small question, like because you were
Yes.
talking about the balance, especially. I would just like to ask your opinion of or what you would suggest for a person who would want emotional balance, because we know that our human life, we rotate around good things and bad things, right? So we tend to be extremely happy when we when we have accomplishments in life and we reach higher places, whereas we tend to be extremely sad when we hit failure or something bad happens to us. Like, can you give us like some tips as to how do we maintain this emotional balance to not really reach any of these extremes? Anything that you would?
That can be a big question. I will do my best to make it short. The first element I would like to mention, it's there also the physical energy, the mental energy, the emotional energy, the spiritual energy are all interconnected. Sometimes emotional problem might come from lack of moving the body or moving the body in a wrong way. It can be lack of exposure to nature, can be too much time spent behind a screen, a sleep quality issue or quantity issue. And sometimes, again, the root cause of the emotional problem can be find really, like I was mentioning, the melt of the ice in the North Pole can be far away. The root cause of that can be far away. And sometimes it's by balancing different areas of your life that you will notice, hey, I start feeling now emotionally more stable, and that helps. That's the first one I would like to mention. The second one is, I would take it as a mind training. It's what we call the equanimity. And that's what you learn, for example, in Vipassana. It's to stay more neutral, whatever happens to you in life. So, life is like a roller coaster. You have ups and downs. And when you are on the upside, you are overexcited. When you're on the downside, you are over ruminating. And part of that is we are a lot caught in the pain and pleasure vicious circle. And that's definitely something in the duality, or I would say, of life. It's important to manage your pleasure and reducing your pain. But one element, it's not always, it's going out of that loop and connect with your body. For example, when you meditate, you train yourself to be present with these ups and downs, and teaching yourself to not react to that and stay stable and as neutral as you can. And when you do that regularly, you generate, it becomes a skills that in the end you manage better the ups and downs of life. So that's the two main way of dealing with it I would do. Does it answer your question?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Stefan. I mean, I think that itself, yoga, we can have a separate podcast to cover that topic, because it's very, very deep, and I think that itself is like, I'm sure you added some value to our viewers. Well, my next question, of course, is about like the tagline of your program is about fit body, sharp mind, and happy soul.
Yeah.
What is your philosophy behind it?
Oh, yeah. Um, I would say, yeah. I take the fit body. It's the body element, body pillar of my training and approach. Sharp mind, and I would even say fit body and healthy body. I need to shorten the tagline, so I put fit, but for me, fitness and health are not necessarily together. So that's also something we might talk later. It's fitness doesn't mean health, and a lot of people confund that. But a fit and healthy body is important. Sharp and balanced mind is important. And my view is when you have a good balance in your body and mind, you create a alignment between, I would say, our three brains. You might be aware of that or not, but we have a brain here that most of the people know, the cranial brain. Then we have a brain in the heart, and we have a brain in the gut, and there are really neurons in them. And when you align that, and you have heard about the heart feelings, the heart feelings, the gut feelings,
Okay. Yeah.
and when you combine and align well your body and mind, you the happy soul becomes like an outcome of the fit, healthy body and balanced and sharp mind. Does it answer what you want to know? So, and the tagline is really because I would say fit body, sharp mind are kind of inputs that lead to a happy soul. And when you have a happy soul, it means that your action in life are aligned with your deep inner feelings. You kind of align what you do with what you feel and what you are, and then your soul is happy. I would say an unhappy soul, it's typically somebody who is doing something in his life and feel empty or feel that inside something is not right, or because maybe they break some of their inner values. And when you have a fit body and you practice mindfulness and these kind of things, it helps yourself to kind of first being aware of what's important for you, and secondly aligning your action with that. And then, I mean, life start to become lighter and happier, and yes.
Yeah, beautiful. I really liked the concept of the three brains that you just spoke about. I think those are like, I mean, the fact that